be my victim. Welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review. But wait, there's more. I got 100 subscribers, y'all. I mean, that may not be much to you big people out there, but I got 100 subscribers, y'all, and I just want to say thank you. So to say thank you today, I decided to do a little bit of a nostalgic review. Something old that I was trying to save, but I can't. There was supposed to be a 2020 Candyman to have come out by now, and I was so excited for it. And I was even more excited that it wasn't a remake. It's somewhat of a part 2 and a continuation of the first one. And I wanted to do like in contrast with those reviews and kind of see how they both tied together. But the director of that movie wants to have some grand theatrical release in the theaters, and she doesn't feel like the movie would get its just due with us, you know, watching it on a streaming service. Respectfully, I understand, but anyway, today I'm going to do the 1992 version. It's kind of a little thank you to you guys. Hopefully you guys like this video, and then I can do more horror reviews, but I'm just going to see how this one does first. But we're going to be doing the 1992 version, Todd version, Candyman. It's get a little chill, you know, when you say it in your own house. But before we get into why this movie is so significant and why you guys need to give Todd his flowers now, I need you guys to go and subscribe. So go do that. Then we're going to come back and we're going to discuss why you guys should be my victim. So just to start, I like to kind of discuss why this movie is so significant. I can't think even right now about any, like on a grand scale, horror movie villains that were Black. There weren't none. It was rare that we got one. I remember as far back as probably the 70s is when we got a big explosion of, you know, mass-produced Black horror films. And that's when we got a play on, you know, the older horror movie tropes. You know, instead of Dracula, we got Blackula. Instead of Frankenstein, we got Blackenstein. Instead of, you know, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I think we got Mr. Black and Mr. Hyde. Like, it was just, you know, a play on those. But after that, we really didn't get anything. Every significant villain, horror villain, was white. They could have looked all shades of gross and icky, mask, no mask, but at the end of the day, they were white. And then somewhere like in the 80s, we got vamps. I remember that having a Black vampire. Grace Jones, she played, you know, a whole stripper, vampires, the whole thing. If you have not seen Vamps starring Grace Jones, go watch it. It's a little kooky, but still a, you know, a worthwhile film, especially if you're a horror lover. And I remember we didn't get much after that. So it's been a long gap of nothing. And then somewhere along the 90s, we got old school Death by Temptation. If you have not seen 1990s Death by Temptation, go see it. Go see it. Go look it up. Go watch it. I believe it's on YouTube. It's funny and it's horror and it's you know, it's detailed. It's I am I'm not here for death by temptation. It's a lot of gems in there that still hold true to today, especially if you're high on religion. Go watch it. But then in 1992, you know, when I was 2, we got Candyman and Todd. And I remember when I first seen it, I think I was maybe about 6 or 7 years old. My mom rented it from Blockbuster. Scared me shitless. Who rents Candyman for the kids? But the movie was scary. Everything was really frightful. But I remember being taken so much with the fact that he was black. Because up until that point, I hadn't seen anything. Not only was he black, but unlike, you know, our grand horror movie villains that are always mentioned, like of course, we have Freddy Krueger, who was also, you know, very funny, very charismatic, had all the one-liners, as well as Chucky, funny, kooky one-liners, hilarious. And then we had our category of our silent killers, our Jasons, our Michael Myers, who were masked. And then this guy came along. Not only was he black, but he was educated, he was well-dressed and well-spoken and scary. I had never seen that. He didn't look like, you know, some urban legend, some myth, some, you know, badly burned creep, some doll, some masked crazy person with an axe in the woods. This looked like a real full-fledged person. And it creeped me out so much. Still kind of does. Creeped me out. And he was black. He was black. That was the main thing that got me. I was like, he is black. And even now, I can't think off of my hands how many black horror villains we have. Of course, we do have monsters. You know, there's a category of monsters. But actual villains, he was the only one. And he needs his flowers, because even with this one film, of course, we had, you know, part 2 and part 3. He was so good here. So good and so distinguished and separated himself from every other villain so well. Masterpiece. But let's get into the film. So 1992's Candyman is based on a Clive Barker book called The Forbidden. Clive Barker, master of horror, love him. He also did, you know, my favorite, Hellraiser. We have such sights to show you. Hopefully you guys like this video and I can do that one. But amazing. But it stars Tony Todd, of course, and Virginia Madison. Let's just start off with the score. The music for this film that's playing as soon as it comes on is so haunting and so solidified with this film. That's creepy alone. The Philip Glass, those chords, those, whatever, the piano. Nice. Like, as soon as you hear, like, oh yeah, oh shit, you know, the beads of sweat start running. Scary. But the story takes place in the iconic Chicago Cabrini Green projects, which have, you know, long been torn down now. But it's a horror in itself. It's a project. And you know what happens in projects. I don't have to go through there, but scary. Scary place. But we start off with our character. Her name is Helen, played by Virginia Madison. After, you know, rewatching it, I was like, Helen is a little Karen. Not like a big Karen, but a little Karen. Because she is a statistics student. And she, you know, she goes over pictures and art and tries to collaborate on them. But she's doing a thesis paper. And she decides to do a thesis paper on urban legends, which leads her to the urban legend of Candyman itself. And she hears all these horror stories after horror story, and she's so intrigued and so interested, but she doesn't stop there. There's a professor who's already did a thesis on him. and her goal, you know, being the Karen that she is. Oh, we have to top that. I can do better than that. Not only am I going to research this, but I'm also going to go to the projects and investigate a little bit more, just to show how much better I am than you. No, Helen. Should have stopped there. But she goes and, you know, she goes to these projects. She puts herself in danger just going here. But, you know, our white privilege at the time and who's going to touch me? I can go here. I can go walk around these places. They didn't touch you, but something else did. But she goes and she gets all these, you know, more horror stories, and this is what happens. And she's equating everything to a myth, an urban legend. You know, a local gang or a local, you know, hood just running around terrorizing the people in the projects. Wrong. Run. Run. So against the better judgment of her boyfriend, the professor, her best friend, you know, who, because you know the best friend always has to be black. Somebody has to be sacrificed. Against their better judgment, even the people in the projects. This isn't safe. They ain't never gonna catch him, you know. Oh, Anne-Marie. This is clearly an unsafe situation, but she has her eye on the prize. And if putting myself in this situation and getting these shots and getting these stories, getting, you know, all, by any means necessary, because I want to win. I want to be that person who turned in that thesis paper and topped off this professor. She jeopardizes in this movie everything from her relationship, her freedom, to her sanity. Because the movie does such a good job of being a mystery. Because you see things, but it does a good job of setting Helen up to look crazy. Because at the end of the day, that's what he's doing. He's setting her up the whole movie to look crazy, and does a wonderful job of it. Because these incidents are happening, and then it's just her left with a weapon and a pool of blood, looking guilty, looking caught. No, Helen. But we get into the Candyman's character, whose backstory is so symbolic and horrific in itself. And it took for me to go back now recently and watch it, because, you know, just watching it as a kid, you know, no better. But after rewatching it, of course, he's the son of a slave owner. Not a slave owner. He's the son of a former slave who, you know, blew up from mass producing shoes. And he's afforded, you know, to go to school and be educated and be taught amongst fellow white people. He's respected, and he becomes a painter. He's going, you know, place to place, painting all these people, all these families. Respected, dignified black man. But falls in love with a white woman. Not only falls in love with this white woman, but impregnates this white woman, upon which he is beaten, abused, kidnapped, lynched, smeared in honey, attacked by bees, left for dead, burnt alive, and his ashes are scattered over this Caprini Green project, which he continues to, you know, terrorize for all these years. Now, there is something to be said about the logic in this story and how things go. Great story nonetheless, but let's talk about it, because the horror and the way he was, you know, lynched and the way he was treated for being with a white woman holds true with so many different past and current situations. Very much so in the past, with his ashes being scattered and, you know, raising hell. Just to think about throughout history, how many black men were burned and lynched and beaten and abused for being with the white woman, trying to be with the white woman, or even not even attempting or wanting a white woman, being lied on. Emmett Till. And their ashes, and it's everywhere. It lingers everywhere. And it terrorizes all the way up until now. Which brings me to my next point of how the story goes. So this happened to him, and these other people terrorized him and, treated him this way. He's going to come back and terrorize his own community, his own people. I never understood that. Recently, I never understood that. I was like, well, wouldn't he, take that shit to the deluxe apartments in the sky? Wouldn't he take that shit over there? Like, no, you're going to be here with your own people in these projects terrorizing, ashes scattered or not. I ain't like that. And then, of course, even in death, as a ghost, a spirit, a myth, a legend, a murderer, not only are you terrorizing your own people, you're still lusting and pining after a white woman. The same thing that got you lynched and murdered in the first place. Symbolism. And I don't even know if they were going for that then, but even after all the death and the trauma, still go for it. I'm still be my victim. Oh yeah. But unlike most horror movies, especially the ones, from that era, there isn't a lot of cheese factor. This movie is poetic. This movie is beautiful. It's almost like Shakespeare. And you don't just get your typical horror slasher movie. You get something so much deeper than that. This movie has so much meaning to be a horror movie. You can't just write it off as a simplistic horror movie, like kind of like a Silence of the Lambs situation. It's so much more than that, and so much of a bigger picture going on other than him, going around slicing and dicing people. But it's, it's poetry on screen, and he practically speaks poems out of his mouth. The imagery is, the way the imagery is used here, those shots, on the walls, her, stepping into the mouth, the paintings, everything is just so rich. Even now, still good now. Of course, the cinematography is great. We get these wide area shots, of somebody flying over the city, clearly holding the camera. Great. It looks so good. That opening shot on the freeway. Bruh. And we get the special effects, the body horror. Of course, everything looked great and sensible because it was the 90s, before everything went to shit and CGI and we're going to digitally put that blood in there. No, everything looks so good. There were no CGI. Oh, the bees, not the bees. There was no Nicolas Cage situations going on here. No no remake Wicker Man happening. No, these were real bees. He even talked about, in interviews, getting stung and, kind of becoming immune because he got stung so much. But I think he got paid every time he got stung. But, everything is real. The imagery, everything looks so authentic. There wasn't a CG, nothing in sight. Awesome. The actors. All of the actors did such a good job here. Virginia Madison is so good, being a frightful white woman. She's so good because not only is she scared and everything, her sanity, her freedom, all of these things are in jeopardy. But those movies when you're trying so hard to, why don't you guys believe me? It's right there. Don't you see it? So good at that. So good, so convincing, all the way from when we were privileged. I can go where I want to, talk to who I want to talk to. I have one end game going. I'm trying to reach that, to being taken over, being kind of hunted and followed and set up, to being locked up, to being, questioned, to getting, heard you looking for Candyman, bitch. Wow. Good. All that. Good. Great. Virginia Madison was great here. Very great here. Even, our side actors, our our little boy. I don't remember, ever seeing him in anything else, but, he go get me. I'm not going in there. He gonna get me. He gonna kill me. He coming back. Like that little boy, I think his name was Jacob. Great. He was great. And Anne Marie, great. The characters in the Cabrini Green did a very good job of making you fear for them and fear for their, you know, their life. Like you really felt like they weren't safe. Like, and that's the projects. Like, it's the whole, damn it, symbolism for those projects. Like we feel unsafe in our own home. I have to live here and I'm scared for my life. That's the project, son. You know, even with the surroundings, like they did a very good job of almost making the projects look like some old castle, as if he was like Dracula. Like they did very well with what they had. The jump scares. The jump scares are so good here. Like it's like a sin now to see a decent jump scare. But here, they are so good. Like you actually jump with the jump scare because you know that's what you're supposed to do. Like that scene in the bathroom when she's, you know, all casual, opens that cabinet and pow, died. Jump scares are effective. And I just like the mystery of, well, is Helen sane? Is she crazy? Is he really there? Is he really doing all these horrific things? Because she's the only person who can see him. And now, for the piece de resistance, Mr. Tony Todd. He has done many things, but this is like his magnum opus. This is his movie and where he shines. He shines in horror because he has gone on to do so much horror and is a staple in little movies, you know, like The Final Destination, and very, you know, iconic there. But here, man, I don't know what they told him, like what to go for. He like turns this into Shakespeare, and this is like an Othello like horror movie. He is such a standout here. It's just him appearing, his presence. Like when we first, it's such a standout here that this is his movie. I don't even think we see him physically in that movie until like we're like damn near an hour into the movies. But when he steps out in that parking garage with those hands behind his back, honey, if I could have just fainted, like if I could have just fainted because I was so shook, like you just felt it. It was oozing off of him and oozing off of that screen. You know, that vernacular, that pimp coat, that mid-century pimp coat. Like the, you know, the reveal, like, what's up? You called, I'm here. Smooth. Never seen a smooth murderer in my life. Like, Chucky could not give you this. Michael Myers could not give you this. Freddy Krueger could not give you this. We running on sight. But it's like almost mesmerizing. And then he hits you with this poetry and this voice. I don't know if they electronic, because he has the sound. I don't know if they enhanced it for the movie, but his voice, it's like it reaches and it like caresses you and scares you all at the same time. And we get, you know, those calls from the parking structure. Helen, I'm like, shh, don't say that. Like, no, that's what we not gonna do. We get those calls, and even that opening, you know, hypnotic monologue of, you know, what is blood if not for shedding? Like, you scared on sight soon as it starts. And then, you know, we get the reveal of the coat and that gorgeous, you know, body horror, that exposed rib cage, the bees, the hook, the jagged hook, no CGI ass hook. It was like, it looked, it was good. Like, give this man his flowers for what he did for horror and what he did for blacks in horror in this movie alone. We ain't talking about the, you know, the sequels, and even though part 2 was still a little bit up to par, just here, he deserves so much for just being in this movie alone and what he brought to the character and what he was able to convey on screen as a horror villain, as a black man. Because I was shook. I don't know what you was, but I was shook. I was scared. But give the man his flowers. The movie is incredible. Still holds up to today. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you have not, and I'm gonna say this, you know, with my eyes squinted, because I'm squinting at you because some ain't connecting. If you just happen to have not seen this movie, what are you doing? Go watch it. Go watch it and comment and let me know what you loved about the film. Even if you have watched it, drop down and let me know what your favorite scenes are, what you feel like Tony Todd brings. Do you feel like he's as relevant and important as I think he is? Because I think he was phenomenal and he's important, because all the other black horror villains are who? Nobody. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thank you so much for my 100 subscribers. Like, you guys don't know, like, I'm mad. Check that shit. Like, like I'll be at work like, damn, you know, sleeping on me. Like, what? Thank you so much. For the people who did, though, you 100 people who did subscribe, like, I'm going 2-step to some Slum Village Fantastic Volume 2 start to finish. Like, that's how much I'm here with y'all. But thank you guys so much. I hope you like this video. Please let me know, you know, what you think. If you guys do, maybe I'll do more and we can talk a little bit more about Kristen and Hellraiser and all the other horror that I love. But you know, we can't be just making stuff and y'all don't like it. Like, wasting my time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I see you guys next time. Bye.